I had hope, and a real hope, and I believed that this loan was going to change my whole farming project. I had applied for 5,000 US dollar loan. I submitted the documentation, my project proposal, my budgets. They came to the site, they did all the assessment. They went back, but we never got the loan. This is a painful situation with majority of the young farmers. Today, I want to share with you my painful journey I went through when I wanted to find a loan to finance our project.
Zipato zatu zimapata moyo kuchuluka nchito ndalama zidzabwera. Fruits for the nation, fruits for the world. Farm in the future, let our story be told.
I decided to go into farming not because I had enough resources, but because I have got passion in farming. So I went into farming. We started beekeeping, tree grafting, cabbage production, watermelon. We did bore drilling, fencing. I bought some beehives. I started planting my tree seedlings. But that one was not enough. And at the same time, spreading all my money that I had on those projects would mean that I will need a lot of working capital to sustain my future running of the projects. So I decided to visit a bank under a loan facility introduced to us for us to apply. I said, this is a great opportunity which is not available to many people in Zimbabwe of getting loan, especially if you are a small business. So I went there and I realized that the loan amount was pegged at 5,000 and below. And I said, okay, because of the size of our project, we need to have a lot of money. We need 5,000. So I got the information, what were with some requirements. I went through the process. The first process was for your leader in the area to come and visit your project and write a letter to the bank as a recommendation that this person in my area is doing this project and is able to in the project, so that the bank will start the process and come to do a second review or assessment. So I took my leader, went to the farm. He was so amazed with the level of preparedness we had. By that time, we had around 400 avocado seedlings. We had over 1,000 cabbage, which was ready. So the garden was full, and it was so exciting. We had already installed the pump on our bore, so we're using that water to irrigate our cabbage. I had already bought 13 Kenyan top bar beehives, already hanged, though they were not yet occupied. I had also fenced the area that we wanted to plant some watermelon, the area which is closer to 1 hectare. So I was so excited that my leader will come and get in excitement. So he came. We paid for the transport from Karoi to our rural home. Then looked around, went around, giving me some recommendations. You can add this one and add this one. This is nice. You can do this and that. Then we came back home. We sit down. He told me, yes, I went through your projects, and I can say, yeah, it's you are doing well. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah, so as for me, I think I'm gonna write a recommendation so that you can get a loan from the bank under this facility. That one was a special facility, so I was so happy, and I was so, excited, and I was like, sure, I'm going to get a loan, because according to my own view, the level of the things that I have done so far, I was like, I never did this before, and I'm so excited. Yeah, many people around us will say, you've done well. And I was like, hey, so maybe you can get a loan now. People, we used to know that if you go there to the banks, they want to see you doing something. So I was so excited that I'm already doing the projects. So he went back. Then he went back to Karoi. I followed the next day. We went to his office. We got the letter, a very good letter, recommended me to get a loan. I went to the bank. When I got to the bank, this manager, right? Yeah, bank manager. Then I took all my papers. Said, okay, that's fine. So I added some profile, application letter, IDs, and proof of raise, and so forth. We added a number of things that we needed there, and I did a project proposal and the cash flow statement. I was amazed on the arrangement of my cash flow statement, because what we needed to do with the money was to buy tank. I did bore drilling and the installation of a pump, and then I connected water from the bore, then crossing the fields to our home. So now to irrigate the field, we were just tapping the water directly from the bore, then using a hose pipe. So when there is a shadow, there's some clouds, it means that there is no water for that period. But now you need to irrigate that day. And at the same time, the challenge that we had with that was that we wanted to do drip irrigation, which is good for watermelon. But we couldn't do that because there was no tank. We thought there is no way we can do. Unfortunately, fortunately, we heard recently that it is possible since we connected it recently. Now, I wanted to buy a tank. The tank was costing us around $300, $400, $500 US. And with the money that we had at first, it was difficult for us after bore. Then we sought all those things. So I said, this is an opportunity to buy those things, tanks, drip system. We wanted to cover the whole hectare with the drip system, which was going to cost us around 1.6, putting the drip system, the whole plot. But we are going to subdivide those plots into small, so that we plant a range of horticultural produces. Then we wanted also to add on our beehives, because we wanted to do in large scale. Since we now have source of capital, we need to do well, buy our things that are needed there, the lemongrass oil, the namoia, waxes. Wanted to buy kits, the hive kits, hive tool, the brushes, the bee suit. That bee suit is not a cheap thing. Yeah, maybe you can get it at $50 US. We wanted to also to buy some seeds and the inputs, because the whole part of the 1 hectare was supposed now to go under irrigation, and there was need to plant different crops. I was planning to do maize production there. Wanted to do, since we were already starting, we wanted to start watermelon. I said, now, since we are getting the loan, we're going to expand and start with a bigger part of the field. You know, I did around 2,000 plants, but my original plan was 5,000 plants of Keto F1. Now, with the loan, I said, this is the correct thing now to do. And I wanted also to work with an agronomist, to invite an agronomist so that we work together with him on my projects. So I wanted to cover all those expenses and inputs. With our fruit trees, I wanted to expand now. Since I know I have got funding, I wanted to go to Mbare now and buy a lot of seed, plant, do grafting in time, so that we catch up with the market, because I knew very well that people wanted our products. And I wanted to do what we call traditional foods. I wanted to produce food which is produced without putting of chemicals and fertilizers and so forth. So I wanted to say, yes, we are now on the right track. According to our calculations, we're starting like 5,000 plus the small amount of money that I was ready to use on watermelon. Then add some sales of cabbage. All right. Then at the same time, by December 2025, we're supposed to be selling our grafted as avocados. And at the same time, by the time that we reach around May, June 2026, we'll be selling a lot of honey. So that was a great excitement to me, looking at our project proposal and the cash flow projection. I said, wow, this is wonderful. And according to some research that I've made, and also some communication that we're doing with other people, especially on watermelon, I had a friend of mine who is in business of watermelon like for some years, was saying to me, no problem with watermelon. If you don't get your customers where you are thinking to get them, I'm going to give you my customers who buy in bulk. And I was so sure that a watermelon was going to be a cash cow for us. So I was so sure that at the end of the loan repayment, we were going to be somewhere. And we had already stated in our company, on our proposal and the cash flow forecast, that we're going to buy a lot of equipment that we're going to use on our farms and deliverance. So, you know, that excitement of getting 5,000 when we already have a bowl, already have a fenced garden, when we already have some beehives, when we already have something that is running. I was seeing like we have already done it very well. We submitted to him, he looked on it, he said, okay, you can go. Then we are going to arrange a date after we go through your profile, your application. We are going to come for a assessment. Then we'll decide if it is possible to give you a loan. I was praying very much that we need to have that loan. Some days, you know, I had my friends who were calling me, we're applying those loans, and I was encouraging them also, guys, go and apply. My friend, you know, that friend of mine who is a farmer, watermelon farmer, was also, had already submitted the application. But later on, he told me, no, I realized that the loan repayment period is too small, is too short. Like the starting time to repay was too close. Like when you are given the loan, the amount of money this month, then by end of next month you need to start doing some repayments, your monthly payment. So he said, no, with farming, with my project, I cannot do that. Let me withdraw. But for me, I said, no, I already have my projects that are running. And I said, okay, still I have got some way where I still work and get some money. I can finance my loan using that money. And in my application, I have stated that and also included those cash flows and combined them. So I was so sure, like as someone who runs around. It's like, I've got some little money that comes from YouTube, okay? I've got some little money that comes from my work. So, if I do this, you can finance. I was so sure. But the challenge was like, the banking, bank statement. They wanted a rich bank statement that can prove that you can do it. Not saying I can do, but they wanted a rich bank statement. So I said, okay, let them assess and see what they can do. So they went for some days without coming. My friends were calling me. Did they come? I said, no, not yet. Did they come? Next day. How far? Then I was calling them. How far, manager? I got his number. Then he said, okay, can you come? In fact, I said, okay, I can come to Karoi and come back with you. Then I went to Karoi, came back home with them, giving them the directions. I was like, hey, I don't know. The banking guys, coming to our rural area, dusty road. I was like, these guys are committed. Now we now have money. Money is now coming. How can a bank come to my village, a well-branded vehicle from the bank coming to our house, to our home, to our farm, to our village? So when they come here, when they came there, I had already did a post. I like branding. I already branded on the gate there, Lonak Agro, cabbage. Yeah. Already before the maturity, I had already inserted a poster there. Then on the front, on the door of the garden, I had already inserted a poster, kitchen garden. We went into the garden there. They assessed the garden, look at the trees there. Went to the ball. By that time when they came, inside the garden that we fenced around 1 hectare, I had already dug some holes to plant our watermelon. At the same time, we already plowed. I hired a tractor. I posted a video when we were doing land preparation. We had already did our land preparation for the whole part of the 1 hectare, so that if we get a loan, we're just going to erect our stand to put our tank, put on our drip system, then we're home and dry. I was so sure that as long as we get a loan, we're going to go somewhere. And I was ready, someone who is at the farm, for all those projects that we did. I was looking at them and said, we're moving so fast. When we say tomorrow we want to do this one, so I was so sure. We talked. They went back. Day 2, 3, no communication. I started to call. Sometimes no calls are picked. I sent a WhatsApp. Then I got a reply. Call. Okay. Yeah, we are going to look at on it. Yeah, going to verify this and that. Okay. For some time, we were just waiting for the bank to, to give us a reply. I made some follow-ups. Okay, today I did this. I'm going to look at this. 1 week, 2 weeks, I said, no, because I was thinking like, let me wait up until I get a loan so that I do planting of watermelon using drip irrigation. But now the time was moving. That's the reason why also our watermelon was disturbed by rain. We delayed planting. Then, I went to Karoi and asked, any progress? So, okay, we are on it, we are going to do this and that, what? Then I came back. My friends were now waiting for me to get an approval. They said, okay, let us wait up until you get your loan, then you apply. They waited. Then I said, guys, I'm no longer making some follow-up. I think it's now long overdue for me to wait for that long time of waiting before I get either approval or rejection. That was also I wanted it from them later now. I was like, can they just tell me that your application was rejected? And they never did that up until now. Then I said, okay, let me just go. I didn't wait now. I said, okay, I started my own project and I wanted to start with whatever that I have. So let me just go into my project, do bit by bit. Then I started I planted watermelon using the pipe from one hole to another hole, the whole plot. Our tree seedlings, we continued irrigating them, though we did not add another batch of trees. Our beehives, we continued making sure that they got colonized. Our watermelon grew very well. So when I looked into this, I realized that this is a big challenge. When people are talking about investing in farming, and people sometimes look at people and say they are not serious in what they are doing. But what is needed there is one of the aids of trade. When we're doing about learning about business in school, we're learning about 6 aids to trade. We're learning about commerce. 6 aids to trade, including labor, transport, communication, banking, capital, enterprise. So if we have got enterprise is that's the entrepreneurship skill. If we have got someone who is an entrepreneur but lacks capital, it means that there will be no trade at all. So that's the challenge that we are facing now, that people have got entrepreneurial spirit, but sometimes they lack capital, or they have got capital, but the capital that they have is little. By the end of the day, they do something that is insignificant. Imagine producing 20, maybe we have got capital to produce 50 watermelons. How can you supply a constant market, which requires you to supply 100 per day or 500 per week? It means that you will not be able to do that. So what I end up doing is that I make sure that I go into projects that does not require a lot of capital, but which brings a bigger output. That's the reason why I always talk about sweet potato farming. And I went on to buy from local gardens, where my mother told me this one is good. I took it last year, so this type is good. So just bought those cheaper varieties. This one $5 packet, $5 bag. We came there, we planted around 2 acres. Then we are seeing that we are going to recover our this is a hope, because with the size of our water, of our sweet potatoes, we believe that we are going to cover all the expenses and get a capital now. So my advice to other people who want to do business, who were sometimes trying to get loans from these financial institutions, is that if you fail to do that, don't wait and say and complain and cry that we have failed to get a loan. Find out what you can do, which can give you big results. Because for now, we can supply the market. Maybe for those people who want 2 tons of sweet potatoes, we can supply. Then if we get maybe, for example, if we have 100 buckets of sweet potatoes, it means that we are going to get $600. Then if you say 200, it means that we're going to get what? $1,200. So that will be okay. Okay, so let's go and start somewhere, wherever we are. That's my advice. Start wherever you are, with whatever you have and whatever knowledge that you have.
Avure dura kafuma mvura ichanaya chirimene moyo budiriro chau ya trio